performance of Idris Elba and its very structure. Here he is in that trial in 1963 in Pretoria, laying down what drove.
A just share in the whole of South Africa. We want equal political rights. One man, one vote. I've dedicated myself to this struggle of the African people. I have fought against white domination. I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a free, democratic society where all persons live together in harmony with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and achieve. But, if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die.
I thought it was a wonderful performance by Idris Elba, and also the film didn't shirk away from some of the other bits about Mandela's life, his very difficult relations with his family, a bit of womanizing and so on, and particular relations with Winnie Mandela.
Exactly, when anyone seeing there for the first time, people say, well, he didn't really look like Nelson Mandela, but of course Nelson Mandela, as a young man, was a boxer. He was a very athletic. I think they're the same height, 6'3".
Very physical performance and very physical man.
And then he captures the likeness of touch when Mandela, the later Mandela, came out, with that great gap of time where no one quite knew what he was going to look like when he came out of jail, and it just captures that kind of sprightliness, that kind of spring in the step and in the soul. What's interesting about the film is that it does try to kind of make it a family film. It's about Mandela's struggle because he couldn't really do much for politics while he was on Robben Island. It's about his struggle for his family, for his wife, for his daughter, the death of his son, which impacted on him greatly. And therefore we get a great performance also from Naomi Harris as Winnie Mandela, who's perhaps a lesser known figure, perhaps easier to kind of to gauge the complexities through because she's not as sainted as Nelson.
But you understand, one of the things that I, even having read the book, I didn't understand why she could be so bitter and why her politics was quite different from Nelson Mandela's in the end. I think that's beautifully explained.
It is. I mean, she lives through it. She's working on the outside. If you like, it's got that. It's sort of familiar biopic territory here for a man who's sort of beyond the biopic. You know, if you're gonna just a biopic, he could be a boxer, he could be Malcolm X, he could be a jazz, he could be Glenn Miller. I'd like to see something a little bit more inventive for Nelson Mandela. Perhaps start with one incident rather than the whole life, because it's a bit of a life to cram in.
Now, your next pick, Las Vegas. I can just imagine the pitch for this. We're going to take 4 great actors in their twilight years, shall we say. It's the hangover for old geezers, isn't it?
Well, you should be sitting in a Hollywood studio, frankly, Gavin Esther. You're wasted here because I just give you 100 million to make a terrible movie, which is exactly what they did after that. I mean, these guys really should know better. They've read hundreds of millions of scripts between them, but they still can't say no. Yes, you've got Morgan Freeman. Yes, you've got Michael Douglas. You've got Kevin Kline and Robert De Niro, who I wish would stop doing this kind of awful comedy stuff that he does. It's quite good on old age to start with. These 4 childhood friends who kind of meet up for this stag do, where it's Michael Douglas who's made the fortune amongst them, lives in Malibu in a beach house, and is marrying someone who's 32 years old, as Morgan Freeman explains when hearing that age. I've got a hemorrhoid older than that. Some of that stuff is quite funny. It is some of it, and they sort of say, "Oh, we're going to party like it's 1959." You know, there are a few gags that are good, but the thing is, they go to Vegas. And they just end up sort of ogling girls in bikinis and judging wet t-shirt contests. I mean, and I think that's supposed to sort of say, look, what fun Las Vegas is. But for me, it really wasn't fun. It's the last place on earth I'd want to go, especially if these 4 are in town.
Right, well, okay, well let's move on to something which sounds a lot better but a lot more serious. Missing Picture.
The Missing Picture is so titled The Missing Picture because the filmmaker Riti Pan is looking for an image to kind of convey what happened in 1975 when the Khmer Rouge took over Cambodia with their revolution led by Pol Pot, brother number 1. And the missing picture is in fact a picture that he can't find because there is no documentation of this period when millions of the middle classes